So hello students, a very good morning and I welcome you on daily newspaper analysis of 13th of April. So let's start our discussion. These are the four important topics for you. So these two topics are from The Hindu. So wherever possible, I have mentioned the source as well as page also. So this topic of sentinel species is from The Hindu Science. And second topic about improved cook stoves, ICS. So it is from The Hindu, page number 8. And these two articles I have taken from Indian Express because I thought they can be directly asked in prelims. So first is about the National Productivity Council, and second is about a specific rule, that is rule of speciality or rule of exclusivity. So here we shall be discussing the Extradition Act of India of 1962. So these four articles are important for today, and at last we shall be discussing a practice question. So be with me till the end, and we shall be discussing what all things can be asked in exam for prelims also as well as mains. So first article is about the sentinel species. Okay, so here, first of all, you must know the concept of sentinel species, then we shall be discussing the examples, because these type of questions are asked by UPSC. Generally in environment or science and tech, UPSC will give 3-4 species and it can ask which of the above species or how many of the above species are considered as sentinel species. So for that, you must have an idea about what are these species. So these species are nothing but whenever there is any change in the health of these species. So if there is any change in their health, then you can easily say that there is some change in the environmental conditions or climatic conditions. So in a way, you can say that whatever changes in their health, same thing changes in the environment. So they are kind of, so these species are called as sentinel species. For example, here I will give you an example of frog. For example, the skin of frog is very much thin, as well as very much permeable. So when, as you know that frog lives in sometimes soil also, sometimes water also. So whenever there are some changes, chemical changes or pesticidal changes in water or soil, so it can be easily seen in the health of frog. So seeing the health of frog, you can say that there is some change in water or soil. Second example, the article gives about the canaries in coal mines. So specific thing about canaries is why they are considered as sentinel species, because their metabolism rate is too fast. And because of this high metabolism rate, if there is high percentage of carbon dioxide in the mines, they can easily succumb to death. So all these species will show that what all things are changing in the environment, and if there is some stress in the environment, it can be easily shown by all these species. Now, why, for what species this article was specifically in the news? It was related to emperor penguins, because recently 2 or 3 days back, IUCN has upgraded its status to upgraded its status to the endangered. Now they are considered as endangered under IUCN Red List. And why they are considered as sentinel species? Because these species exclusively live in the Antarctic regions, in the glaciated regions. So because of the climate change, there are changes seen in the health of these species. So that's why they are considered as endangered. Now, for exam perspective, let's quickly discuss some of the facts related to emperor penguins. So first important fact is that these are the tallest and heaviest penguins alive today. Very, very important. See, these are the emperor penguins. So what is the different change if we compare with the other penguins? So there is some yellowish and orangish color. Because in other penguins, if we talk, so complete thing is white near the neck and chest. Here we can find some yellowish or orangish color. So first important thing is these are the tallest or heaviest penguins alive today. If we talk about the distribution, so they live in the colder or polar regions. So distribution is the Antarctic continent and the sub-Antarctic islands. If we talk about the habitat, so habitat is the most ice adapted penguin of any penguin species. So they can only live in the glaciated or icy regions, and in icy regions they are the most adapted compared to other penguins, and they spend their entire lives on the Arctic ice and its waters. Let's discuss some of the features of emperor penguins and how they can be distinguished with other kind of penguins. So first important fact for you is, because since recently only IUCN has changed its status to endangered, so its features can be asked. UPSC can ask you to compare the emperor penguins with other kind of penguins or the other features of these penguins. So first important thing is emperor penguins are flightless. Okay, and it has a streamlined body which is similar to other kind of penguins, and they have their wings are flattened into flippers. And why? What is the use of these flippers? It will help them to navigate in the marine habitat. Next important thing is the adults here are colored black and white, as you can see here. Here the adults are colored black and white, with areas of orange and yellow on the head, neck and breast. So this was the thing I was telling, that if you want to differentiate them with other kind of penguins, so this orangish and yellowish color, through this color you can differentiate them. Now, next important thing is they lose and gain weight rapidly during the breeding and feeding seasons. And to prevent the loss of heat and to preserve heat in their body, they have 2 layers of feather. So this is a kind of adaptation for all the animals who live in the cold regions. So they have 2 layers of feather to prevent the loss of heat. They have a good reserve of fat, and compared to other penguins, they have smaller beaks and flippers. Now, next important thing about these penguins is they live closely together in large groups. And what is the purpose for that? They live closely because they want to keep each other warm, because it is a very cold climate where these emperor penguins live. Now, this exam related fact here, very important one, is it is the world's deepest diving birds. That means it can dive to around 550 meters in search of food. That's why which type of birds are considered as the world's deepest diving birds? So they are the emperor penguins. Now, let's discuss about the diet. See, all these things are important for the exam because recently only IUCN status was changed. That's why it is very, very important. If we talk about the diet, so it is a carnivore animal. It is a carnivore bird, and it depends exclusively on the aquatic animals. Sorry. If we talk about the breeding season, so breeding season is from April to November. And as we have already discussed that these penguins live in the Antarctic region, so that region is around 66 degree to 78 degree south latitude around the Antarctic coastline. And lifespan, yes, if you want, you can remember they live for around 15 to 20 years. But here conservation status is very, very important. What is the conservation status? Endangered, which is given in the IUCN Red List. So if we revise, if I ask you that what are sentinel species, so sentinel species are the species whose members' health signals the condition of ecosystem. For example, this is species A, and if there is some change in the health of this species, then you can easily say that the health of the ecosystem around that species is also changing, because these type of species respond quickly to the environmental stressors, like if there is air pollution, water pollution, etc., etc. Now, next important article is about the improved cook stoves. See, as you know that amid this West Asia crisis, people are searching for the alternative options. So recently, a few days back, we discussed about the induction cook stoves, and today we shall be discussing about the biomass cook stoves. So these are the alternatives of PNG, LPG or LNG. So here, first of all, we shall be discussing the important things which are given in the article, because in the article we will be discussing the significance of improved cook stoves, and if there is significance of these cook stoves over LPG, LNG or natural gas, then why government should promote it and how government should promote it. So first of all, see, before we proceed to this topic, you must be having an idea about the traditional biomass apparatus, like what we call as chulas. So this is the traditional biomass arrangement. So it is a kind of mud chula, and here you use the biomass or the fuel wood, and here is the fire, and here is your utensil where you cook the food. So this is the traditional setup which uses the firewood. Now here comes the entry of the improved cook stoves. So unlike the old-fashioned mud stoves, they can cut the fuel use by 2/3, reducing the smoke. The reason for this is because when we were using the traditional chulas made of wood, which was using the firewood, so here the efficiency was less than even 10%. But if we talk about the improved cook stoves, here the efficiency has increased a lot. And if the efficiency has increased, then the use of firewood has reduced. And if the use of firewood has reduced, that means the smoke is also reduced. And our main concern was this only, that if firewood is creating a lot of smoke, then you have to switch to the alternative cleaner options. But if using the firewood only you can reduce the smoke, then it is very good thing, right? Because financially also it is viable for the different households and villages. So this is first important thing, that the efficiency of improved cook stoves is a lot because it reduces the smoke also. So here article says that the efficiency of traditional cook stoves was around 10%, but if we use the improved cook stoves, then thermal efficiency reaches to around 45% or to around 50%. Now let's discuss why these things can happen. See, earlier when we were using the traditional chulas, here we were using the firewood and here this was the fire. So earlier what was happening, the airflow in these chulas was very poor. And if the airflow is poor, if the supply of oxygen is poor, then complete firewood cannot be burned. And if complete firewood is not burned, it will produce a lot of smoke. And to burn this smoke also, you don't have the enough oxygen. So that's why it was creating a lot of smoke. It was creating a lot of pollution. But now if we talk about the improved cook stoves, so here we have the two sources of air. First will be the primary source of air. So here it will be the primary source of air, and through this air you can burn the firewood. Now firewood is burning. Now here some amount of firewood would be left unburned and it will create a lot of smoke. So what will happen, here will be some pores which will provide the secondary airflow, which we call as secondary aeration. So this secondary aeration will burn the unburnt fuel also, and it will burn the smoke also. So in this way, you can reduce the pollution or you can reduce the smoke to a great extent. So these were the things mentioned, that technologies such as secondary aeration help to catch the soot and harmful gases before they turn into smoke. Now, article is talking about how you can make it more sustainable. So see, first of all, you know that firewood is also renewable source of energy only, provided that you use firewood to a small percentage so that trees can renew the wood in their trunk. So first important thing is that it is a renewable source. So already it is sustainable. Next thing is, it's not important to use only firewood in the improved cook stoves. You can use other sources also, like the biomass, like the pellets or briquettes. These pellets or briquettes are made from the dust or the other material which you get after harvesting rice or wheat or other kind of crops. So it's not like that it will run only on firewood. It can include biomass also, like pellet bricks. Now, since we discussed that this technology is very good, this technology has a lot of advantages over LP or the traditional system. Now, let's discuss about it. So, if any technology good and it is costly, then people will become good. Very important to understand cost, the financial barrier. So, if we talk about the cost, so upfront cost very simply. Right? So, if we talk about how it cost, but if we talk about the commercial model, then 2000 cost. But since we know that it has a lot of advantages, then people and the civil government can do a lot of things to make it available for the people. For example, it can be included in various CSR programs of companies. Government can provide the finance because it has advantages. Very important source of financing can be the carbon financing. Carbon financing, meaning of carbon financing is, for example, this is household A and this is household B. For example, household is using the improved stove and it has reduced the percentage of CO2 in the air to a lot of percentage. So here, what household A will do, it will give the carbon credits to household B. And in the return of carbon credit, household A will get money. So it will be a motivating factor for household B also, that in future, if we use such kind of technology which reduces a lot of smoke or pollution, then we can also earn a lot of money. So carbon financing can also be one of the important source of financing for the improved cook stove. Now, here the article discusses that as we know that in any kind of energy generation system, the main operating cost is related to the fuel, and the improved cook stocks, what the fuel they use the firewood, and firewood is easily available. So that's why we say that, and efficiency is also high. We already discussed it. If efficiency is high, then the number of firewood stoves, firewood. Now here comparison has been discussed. Comparison like we are comparing the cost that which will be more economical and viable. So amid this West Asia crisis, the cost of LPG reached to around rupees 100 per kg. But if we talk about firewood, so firewood can cost only rupees 10 per kg. So here you can easily say that for the middle class household, for the households living in villages, use of fire very much economically viable. Now it discusses about what all things needs to be done. So first important thing is this kind of technology, that is improved cook stove, do not require massive amount of investment. Why it does not require? Because it does not require any expensive fuel, or it does not require any expensive setup. Fuel we talk about the firewood, or the crop waste, it is down cakes, etc. Which are easily available in any setup. Now also financing is financing methods like it can be under the CSR obligations or the microfinance facilities. So financing is also done, fuel is also done. But here one more hurdle is about the distribution networks. Because see, if anything is good, anything is available, anything is economically viable, then the most important thing is if it is not, that technology is not benefiting, or it is not reaching to the general public at ground level, then what is the use of the technology? Here you have to focus on the distribution networks. That means the last mile, that means it will reach to the beneficiary. So how it will be done? It will be done improving the logistics, which can improve the delivery as well as the local partnership. Along with that, you have to make the people aware of this type of sustainable technology, so that demand and people more and more cook stocks can be created. So this was the overall concept of the improved cook stock. Now, next important article about the National Productivity Council. So, in previous year only, we have asked one question about the Quality Council of India, and we are discussing the National Productivity Council. Please book like what type of states we have asked, what is the points can be asked, and now and the focus on what we discuss. So, the context is National Productivity Council signed an agreement with the Ministry of Environment to act as Environment Audit Delegated Agency under Environment Audit Rules 2025. So, let me simplify this for you. Basically, now National Productivity Council as Environment Audit Delegated Agency. So, this it's like to will just check the health of all the industry. It's kind of health checkup of all the industries, whether the industry are polluting air or water, or whether the industries are treating the waste they are generating or not, whether they are complying with environmental regulations or not. So this National Productivity Council has been designated as Environmental Audit Agency. So briefly, let's discuss about National Productivity Council. Questions already been asked on the Quality Council of India. So first of all, its establishment year. So this council was established in 1958. Next important thing is about the ministry and department under which it comes, because if you study about this National Productivity Council, you cannot estimate under this. So it comes under Ministry of Commerce and Environment, under which department? So Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Very important. This is matter, so it was 1958 under the Ministry of under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Now, it's an important component of Tokyo-based Asian Productivity Council. Very important. It is an important component of Asian Productivity Council, and Asian Government of India is the founding member of Asian Productivity Council. Very important. First important, it's constituent of Asian Productivity Council, and for this council, India was founding member. That's why it becomes more and more important. Now, if we talk about the objectives or role of National Productivity Council, that what it is intended to do. So, if it were only it is the Productivity Council. So, basically, it was enhancing the productivity of various kind of industries in India. For example, this is industry A, and if under the audit, National Productivity Council finds that this industry is wasting a lot of products. So, there is a life cycle needs, there is any change in procedure is needed, or any change in training scale needs. So, it finds it will prepare a report and it will provide the recommendation. So, these are those. And along with the area of productivity, it provides the consistency and the industrial engineering, agricultural business. Talking about the new network that is designated as Environment Audit Delegated Agency. There are two things we have to specify: auditors and second, Environment Audit Delegated. EADA is the examining authority. This is the examiners. So what EADA will do? EADA will tell the qualifications, that what all qualifications examiners must have so that they can audit the particular factory. So this is the upper body, and auditors will function under the rules and regulations of EADA. Now, if we talk about the environment audit framework, because NPC has to work under the environment audit framework. So basically this framework is a key instrument which will ensure the compliance with the major environmental laws like the Environment Protection Act, Water Act, Air Act, etc. So this is the framework which helps you to comply with the major rules and regulations related to environment. Environmental auditors are kind of examiners. So EADA will give the rules and regulations, will give the eligibility criteria. For example, what should be the educational criteria for the environmental auditors, because these are the auditors who will go to the plant, who will be connecting at the grassroots level. EADA will not go. It will just provide the rules and regulations for that. So first of all, it will provide the minimum eligibility criteria. It will develop the screening methods. That means what kind of methodologies, what kind of procedures auditors have to use at the plant to analyze all these situations. For example, what should be the percentage of certain chemical in air, what should be the percentage of certain bacteria in water, all these things EADA will do. It will provide the certification to environmental auditors. It will monitor the performance of the other, which will be publicly accessible for all certified and registered environmental auditors. So these are the basic roles of EADA. Now, next important article is about the rule of specialty. So, the context is Home Secretary has flagged the procedural lapses in the extradition cases in India. So, first of all, let's discuss the article. So, recently, the Home Secretary of India has highlighted that some individuals who are extradited to India from some other country, they are being tried for unrelated cases. See, I will explain. First of all, what is the meaning of extradition? Extradition means, for example, this is country A and this is country B, and any offender is hiding in country A. So, under extradition, this country A will hand over that criminal or offender to country B where that crime was conducted. So, for example, crime was conducted here, then the person escaped to country A and it is hiding here. So, under extradition, country A will hand over that criminal to country B. This is extradition. So, now Home Secretary has said that when you are extraditing a person from country A to B, there is a specific crime under which he is extraditing. It's not like under 4 or 5 crimes you can extradite that criminal. Country A will say, for example, under financial fraud, I am extraditing person A to your country. So, you cannot try that person for another crime. Maybe he is involved in another crime, but the reason for what I am extraditing, you will try that person only for that crime. So Home Secretary has said that there are some cases seen where the offenders are being tried for unrelated cases, and because of that, this is the violation of rule of speciality or the principle of exclusivity. Now UPSC can ask, rule of speciality or principle of exclusivity was recently in news. In what context? Then you must know then it what context it was asked. So it was asked in the context of the extradition treaty. So rule of speciality or rule of exclusivity has been mentioned under the Extradition Act of 1962. Very, very important. So here some of the features of Extradition Act of 1962 becomes very important. So what section 1 of Extradition Act says? a person extradited to India by foreign state can be tried only for the offences for which the extradition has been granted, which I have already explained. Okay, so for example, I will explain you for example. If I take example of Vijay Mallya. So for example, this is India and this is UK. For example, Vijay Mallya is in UK. Now India wants Vijay Mallya back. And what is the crime he has done? He is the financial offender. Now, for example, UK has extradited Vijay Mallya to India. And under what charges? Under the financial fraud. Now, maybe Vijay Mallya might be involved in other criminal activities like the drug trafficking or terrorism. But India cannot try Vijay Mallya for other activities because UK has extradited Vijay Mallya to India only for the financial offense. So this is the reason that you cannot extradite, you cannot try person for the unrelated offenses. Now, next, what thing says that if there is continuous violation of this rule of exclusivity, then it will adversely affect the India's credibility in the ongoing extradition matters. So this is not good for India because it could have a wider implications. Now, let's discuss some of the exam related facts from the Extradition Act 1962. So first of all, very important thing is, if any criminal is extradited from country A to B, mostly it is treaty based. For example, India has a treaty, extradition treaty with various countries, so that India can extradite any criminal to that country or to and fro. But this is applicable to the treaty as well as non-treaty cases also, because if India has treaty, that is good. But even if India has no treaty, then on case-by-case basis also extradition can be done. Second point is about the dual criminality principle. That means the offense must be crime in India as well as the requesting country. So for example, if a country A requests that to India that India hand over that criminal to that country, so that offense must be a crime in both countries. If I take an example, for example, adultery. Just a second. For example, before 2018, adultery was a crime in India. At present, it is a crime in some West Asian West Asian countries also. But at present, adultery is not a crime in India. So a particular offense must be crime in both the countries. So on that basis, West Asia cannot ask India to extradite any person based on adultery, because now it is no longer a criminal offense in India. Next is about the extradition offenses. So it talks about what all offenses can be considered as, for the extradition. So it can be terrorism, organized crime, drug trafficking, financial fraud, or some big criminal offenses. Next important thing is, there is bar on the political offenses. For example, if you upload a fake video or fake AI generated picture of any political leader, so maybe an FIR can be filed on you, maybe a case can be filed on you, but this is not a reason to extradite any person from one country to another. Now comes the rule of speciality, which the main heading of the article was discussing. So it says that fugitive can only be tried for the crime for which he or she was extradited for. Here, important thing is human rights considerations are taken in the context. So if a country wants to hand over to country, but if the country thinks that there might be violations of human rights or it will not be fair, the country A can refuse that criminal to country B. Now, who is the nodal authority? Very, very important. Which ministry deals with the extra request from the foreign government? So it is the Ministry of External Affairs. Now, which agency deals with the related investigation? So it is CBI. And NIA, the National Investigation Agency, deals with specific cases related to terrorism and national security. So these are the nodal authorities. Now, our countries, we have extradition treaty. India has with more than 40 countries. So that is like USA, UK, Canada, Australia, all these countries India has treaty. But since we already discussed that Extradition Act of 1962 is applicable on countries which India do not have the what you can say, the extradition. Also, India can send the criminals to other countries on case by case. Now, a practice question. So a quick question, consider statements regarding the National Productivity Council. First, it is a statutory body under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Second, it is a constituent of Asian Product Organization. Third, it is responsification and registration of environmental auditors. Now, please go through what all we discussed about the National Productivity Council and please try to answer this question. Give your answer in the comment section, whether A, B, C, or D.